Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to go to my review of AEW's Collision. Starting off the evening, we'll go to our first match of the night. It is Ricky Starks teaming up with Big Bill versus Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. I thought it was a good match to start Collision. Back and forth matchup between both teams with Danielson and Castagnoli keeping the pace of the match. Danielson then hits a Hurricanrana off the top rope. Claudio then hits a cutter on Big Bill for a near fall. Big Bill then gets up, hits a choke slam on Claudio. Claudio then gets up, hits a giant swing on Ricky Starks. Danielson then lands multiple yes kicks on Ricky. Ricky then gets up, hits a spear on Danielson for a near fall. Starks then hits a low blow on Danielson with the referee being distracted, which allows Ricky Starks to hit a Rochambeau on Danielson, pins him for the 3. And your winner of the match winners of the match, I should say, are Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Hats off to Ricky Starks and Big Bill for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is for the AEW Tag Team Championships. It is the Iron Savages versus FTR. I thought it was a decent matchup. Back and forth matchup between the Savages and FTR, with FTR keeping the pace of the match. FTR then hit a Shatter Machine, and then FTR ultimately hit the finish, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match, and still AEW Tag Team Champions, are FTR. After the match, the Workhorsemen are in the ring. Crowd chants, "Who are you?" to the Workhorsemen. And it looks like the Workhorsemen are going to be the next challengers possibly for FTR's AEW Tag Team Championships. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is John Silver from the Dark Order versus Anthony Bowens. It was a good match, man. It was a back and forth matchup between Silver and Bowens. Bowens was keeping the pace of the match. Silver and Bowens then were both exchanging in the middle of the ring, with Evil Uno attacking Anthony Bowens ringside. Referee was distracted, which allowed John Silver to hit the finish on Bowens, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is John Silver from the Dark Order. Hats off to John Silver for getting the win in that match. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It was a glorified squash match. It is Aussie Open versus a bunch of jobbers. Like I said, it was a squash match, man. Aussie Open was keeping the pace throughout the entire match, with Aussie Open ultimately hitting the finish, pins for the 3. And your winners of the match are Aussie Open. After the match, Aussie Open then grab a microphone. They call out FTR. And it looks like it's going to be Aussie Open versus FTR at Wrestle Dream for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Andrade El Idolo versus Scorpio Sky. I thought this was a really good matchup. Back and forth matchup between Andrade and Sky, with Sky keeping the pace of the match. But Andrade applies a figure 8 on Scorpio Sky. Sky taps out. And your winner of the match is Andrade El Idolo. After the match, Jay White and Bullet Club Gold are shown standing on the stage. Jay White then grabs a microphone and says that he thinks Andrade is trying to take his spot. So Jay White then calls out Andrade for a match that will take place next week, which I'm absolutely all for. I think Jay White versus Andrade is going to be a phenomenal matchup to see. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's a tag team matchup. It is the Hardys versus the Righteous. I thought it was a decent match, back and forth matchup between the Hardys and the Righteous, with Hardys keeping the pace of the match. Matt Hardy hits a side effect, but the Righteous end up hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are the Righteous. After that, the Righteous grab a microphone. They talk about defeating the Hardys, and they also talk about wanting a shot at the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. So we might see the Righteous going up against the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions here relatively soon, hopefully. Moving on from that, we go into our main event of Collision. It is Chris Statlander defending her TBS Championship against Britt Baker. I thought it was a solid match, man. It was a good match, back and forth matchup between Statlander and Baker, with Baker keeping the pace of the match. Baker then applies a lockjaw on Statlander, but Statlander counters it into a roll-up, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still TBS champion, is Chris Statlander. A couple things I want to say about Collision, man, before I get out of here. Was it a solid show? It was a decent show at best. And I'm not the only one saying that, man. I think as of late, especially after the CM Punk stuff, man, I think Collision is starting to kind of feel like Rampage. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm saying that is seeing the Workhorsemen last night. I don't like the aspect of, and I said the same thing about Dynamite months ago, that, there needs to be some separate, rosters for these shows, a soft brand split, if you will. Obviously Ring of Honor is doing their thing, and Dynamite's doing their thing, and, obviously Collision. Seeing the Workhorsemen challenge for the FTR Tag Team Championships, it is not needed at all. I thought that was a huge L from Collision last night. John Silver match against Bowens was a solid matchup. Statlander versus Britt Baker for the TBS Championship was also a solid match. Hopefully we do get Aussie Open versus FTR at Wrestle Dream. I think that'll be a solid matchup as well. Again, Wrestle Dream takes place October 1st in Seattle, Washington. Definitely looking forward to that pay-per-view. I think the main event, from what I understand so far, will be Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. At Wrestle Dream, and that match was actually supposed to take place at the first ever Forbidden Door, but unfortunately Bryan Danielson was injured before the pay-per-view even got started. So we get that, infamous match, if you will, hopefully at Wrestle Dream in October 1st. Andrade versus possible Jay White, man, I'm definitely looking forward to that match. Those guys are going to tear the house down next week in their match, man. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Other side news I want to talk about too, man, before I get out of here. I want to talk about AEW and this whole rumor going on about HBO Max, and give you all my thoughts on it. I stated this, a couple months back when it pertains to AEW and Tony Khan and HBO Max. I think it'd be a great partnership, in my honest opinion, with AEW teaming up with HBO Max. To have that platform. And even the casual fans. Obviously there's people out there that have HBO Max for the movies and TV shows and stuff like that. Putting AEW on there. I mean, AEW already has a library of pay-per-views and everything else like that, stemming from Ring of Honor to AEW, that can all go on HBO Max. For example, All In, the first All In, before even AEW came into existence. Tony Khan has the rights to that event. He has the library for Ring of Honor. He could put that on HBO Max, and I think it would only benefit HBO Max tenfold, man. There's going to be so many people that, that might not have HBO Max now that will definitely get HBO Max if AEW goes to HBO Max. I think it's best for everybody involved. Not only that, I mean, with Tony Khan, kind of hinting around a 12 pay-per-view format, I mean, why not put it on HBO Max starting next year in 2024? You pay that subscription fee, almost like Peacock, where it was like $9.99 a month. You do the same thing for, HBO Max. You get the pay-per-views if you're a subscriber to HBO Max. It's perfect, man. Those paid live events and stuff like that, or premium live events, the same thing that WWE does. AEW can do the same thing. And honestly, was I against the 12 format pay-per-view for the year? In the beginning, yes. But now, no. The roster is severely bloated, man. I mean, there's so many people on this roster right now. And having 12 pay-per-views a year every month might give, another opportunity to a person that's not really being showcased that much to be put in storylines more and be shown on pay-per-views because they have 12 pay-per-views a year. So I'm all for that, man. And there's, other news coming out, too, about Jade Cargill. And I know some people were upset about Jade possibly going over to WWE, and a lot of people had a lot of choiceful words on that. I gave my opinion about Jade Cargill about a week ago, man. Do I think she's a phenomenal talent? Absolutely. I'm not sitting here and going to, bash Jade Cargill. That's not my job. I think Jade Cargill was a phenomenal athlete. I think she's a phenomenal wrestler. She's a great talent for any company to have. I think she still needs to needs to learn her craft or better her craft still in professional wrestling. That's been pretty evident. I know some people are kind of like, she's, she was undefeated and all this other stuff. Look, man, she still needs work. It's still, it's still not, and she's still, in wrestling, she's still young in this game, man. She still has a lot of time on her belt right now. And I mentioned this about Jade too. Let's say that Jade does go over to WWE. I would not put her on the main roster instantly. I would put her on NXT. I'm sorry, man. I don't think she's ready for Raw, SmackDown right now. Now, there's a lot of matches on the table for Raw and SmackDown, but there's also a lot of good matches for NXT. Roxanne Perez, Nikita Lyons, Cora Jade. There's a lot of matches on, on NXT that would be actually worthwhile. And then again, having Shawn Michaels there and kind of, Shawn Michaels kind of taking Jade Cargill underneath his wing and teaching Jade Cargill the ways of the ropes and, helping her with her promos and her mic skills and her in-ring ability. It's only going to elevate Jade Cargill even more than what she is now. And, people can say what they want, but if it wasn't for Tony Khan and AEW, no one's really going to know who Jade Cargill is. Tony Khan, gave Jade the opportunity to be on AEW, and Jade, became a household name for AEW. So if she wants to go over to WWE, I'm all for it, man. I think there's a lot of good matches, even if she does happen to make it on the main roster. Bianca Belair, Charlotte, Becky. For example, Becky Lynch, for what I understand right now, is the current NXT Women's Champion. Could Jade come in, dethrone Becky, and become the new dominant force in the women's division in NXT and win the NXT Women's Championship, and that entire women's locker room at NXT is surrounded by Jade Cargill. That's another possibility. Because honestly, for what it's worth, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Becky to beat Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Championship with no storyline, no build. So, obviously, they did that for a reason. What reason that is, I have no idea. But I'm all for it if Jade wants to go over to, to WWE. Absolutely. 100%. There was not really any issues with Jade as far as backstage or anything else like that. She was also getting trained by Bryan Danielson while she was in AEW. So, she has the skills, man. She has, she understands what she's doing. She just needs to build up her craft a little bit better, and she's going to be a dominant force in WWE. 100%. Nobody should ever take away that woman's athletic ability. Seriously, man. She is a brick house. Seriously, man. She's a powerhouse. But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, all her WWE run is going to be absolute shit. No, it's not. I think she's going to have a great career over in WWE. If they utilize her correctly and they build her up, absolutely, man. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I would put her up there with, if she gets the time underneath her belt, man, and she really learns and builds off her craft, yeah, you got to put her in the conversation with a Charlotte Flair and a Becky Lynch, a Bayley. You have to, because at the end of the day, look what she's done in AEW. And obviously AEW is a lot different than WWE and vice versa, but look what she's already built. She's already building the building blocks for her career, man. You can't knock her for that. Whether you like her or you don't, you can't hate on the fact of what she's done in AEW. You can't. And there's some people out there that may hate Jade Cargill and everything else like that, but you cannot deny this woman's athletic ability. You can't. It's uncanny, man. She is a powerhouse, man. That's just the way it is. And there's not many female wrestlers that have the ability that she has and the physique that she has. That's a fact. And I think she can use that to her advantage and put on phenomenal matches. I would love to see a match for her, like with her versus Charlotte, or Nikita Lyons, or Bianca Belair, or Asuka. It'd be fantastic. But she just has to build off her craft that she's already beginning to build. She's not a horrible wrestler. She just needs to build up on her craft. That's my main thing. But besides Jade Cargill, again, I hope the best for her. If she does go to WWE, I hope the best for her. I really do. AEW, as far as Collision, that's the other thing I want to, touch base on real quick too, man. I don't know. The thing of it is, it's Collision as of late, the past couple of weeks, have felt like Rampage, in my honest opinion. And to me, it does kind of make me worried, man, because, it kind of shows you how much of a stranglehold that CM Punk have on Collision. Because ever since he left, yeah, you got to see the Elite, the Bucks, and Adam Page, and stuff like that on Collision. That's fine. Do I think it was a little too soon? Absolutely. I think they should have waited before they put the Young Bucks on Collision. They did it literally the night that Punk was fired. I would have waited on that. And let that kind of marinate, and then slowly put the Bucks on Collision. Maybe like a month later or something like that. Maybe. So I thought that, they were kind of, a little too soon, in my honest opinion, as far as putting the Elite on the Collision literally the day he got fired. But I do think CM Punk had a stranglehold on Collision. I do. I really do, because as of late, man, the booking has not been that well. It's not been that great. You had Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and now Miro's literally sitting there, and there's no other storyline, there's no other match right now. So how long is it going to be where Miro's sitting on the shelf? Number one. Number two, you have talent that's been there since day one on Collision that are not getting pushed or not getting predominant storylines. Miro just had one with Powerhouse Hobbs that literally started and ended with All Out. That's it. And right now, he, even on Collision, he cut a promo. Okay? What's next for Miro? Seriously. What's next for the House of Black? We haven't heard anything from Malachi Black or Brody King or Buddy Matthews, for that matter. Nothing. Since they lost the belts against the Acclaimed. Malachi Black and them haven't really done shit since they lost the belts. Nothing. And it's a shame, because they were there day one when Collision came into existence. And they're not doing anything. And my thing is, and this goes hand in hand with what I said about Malachi Black, man. Malachi Black, they should have put him in a storyline with Andrade. That was the money match to make. When that whole storyline happened with Andrade and the mask and everything else like that, I was begging for a match and praying for a match between Andrade and Malachi Black. It sells itself, man. The matches those guys had in NXT, man, oh my God. Crazy matches. So I was kind of hoping and praying that we would get Andrade versus Malachi Black, because that was the money match to make. And Andrade's not really in a storyline either. He had a match with Scorpio Sky, but it's not a storyline matchup. And why are we not getting him involved in Los Ingobernables? Why are we not getting him involved with Roosh and Dralistico and Preston Vance? Why are we not making this a predominant stable on Collision and let them just run shop on Collision, man? Let them just go through the roster. Make them just a devastating stable. Absolutely. And I'm hoping they do that, because the way it looks like it's setting up is that right now Los Ingobernables has Roosh, Dralistico, and Preston Vance. After Jay White had called out Andrade, on Collision, you got to look at Bullet Club Gold, man. They have, Austin and Colton Gunn. They have Juice Robinson, that's 3, and then they have, obviously, Jay White. That's 4 people. Los Ingobernables right now has Roosh, Dralistico, and Preston Vance. That's 3. If Andrade were, join up with Roosh, oh my God, man, take my money. That match would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, but they have to get the storyline there. And I'm hoping that's what they're doing. But, again, I'm not wrong when I say this, where they have these storylines in front of their face and they drop the ball. Prime example, Keith Lee and Swerve. That storyline is still yet to be finished, man. They just completely scrapped that entire idea. And it's a damn shame, because Keith Lee, phenomenal athlete, great wrestler, as well as Swerve, man. Swerve is severely underrated. Seriously. Swerve, man, that's one of those dudes where he can be a babyface and a heel, and it don't matter. Pure talent. Absolute pure talent. And to me as a fan, I'm loving what Swerve's doing right now as a heel, man. It's fantastic. It's great work. And he's got the audience by the palm of his hand. And this storyline he has right now with Paige, he's the one that's pushing that storyline, man. It's not Paige. Swerve wants this match, man, because Swerve wants to be a top dog on AEW, and he should. You got to put him in the conversation, man. Whether it's TNT Championship or, the World Championship, something. Swerve should have a belt, in my honest opinion. And hopefully we get to see Swerve become TNT champion. The other thing, too, where the hell was Wardlow? Wardlow's been saying, when I come back, I'm going to, destroy the locker room. What the hell happened? Was he injured? I don't know. And that's the other thing that, people are like, oh, well, Jade leaves AEW, Tony Khan, that's, he dropped the ball. What the hell you think he did with Wardlow? Seriously. What do you think he did with Wardlow? He dropped the ball immensely with Wardlow. Come on, man. The most predominant storyline that he's had in his AEW run is against MJF. And I will never forget it, man. He went through that great storyline with MJF. He finally beat MJF. You know what the next match that man had? Wardlow? It was against JD Drake from the Workhorsemen. Come on, bro. Come on. And I'm not trying to bash JD Drake, but that's the best you can give Wardlow after that biggest storyline of his career with MJF. Wardlow should be a household name. Period. Now, do I want to see Wardlow win the TNT Championship again anytime soon? Hell no. Hell no. Because every time they give this man the belt, it was getting hot potatoed, man. It went from Wardlow to Samoa Joe, and back to Joe to the Wardlow. It was just insane. I never forget, I think it was, him and Samoa Joe, where Wardlow won the belt, and a week later or something like that, he lost it to Joe. They hot potatoed that TNT Championship, which is an absolute damn shame, man. I remember when AEW first got into existence and how important that TNT Championship was. That TNT Championship was more important than the AEW World Championship. And that's straight up, man. That's the most truthful I can get with that. It had more importance than the AEW World Championship. Look at the people that have held that belt in the beginning. Darby, Cody Rhodes, Brody Lee. That's just to name a couple names that held that belt. Sammy Guevara, when Guevara was on his run. It was fantastic. Scorpio Sky. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Seriously. And again, I don't know if CM Punk had a stranglehold on Collision or not, but these past 2 shows have been absolute shit. And I'm sorry, man. And I usually don't talk like that, but these shows have been garbage. That's just me being real. It's been absolute shit. That's the best way I can put it to y'all, man. I'm going to tell y'all the truth every single time, man. I'm not here to play any games or anything else like that. It's been complete shit on Collision. It's crazy. And I said the same thing about this week with Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe on this Dynamite has gotten more build than both All In and All Out put together. 100%. And I'm not saying that the Arthur Ashe show is not going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great show. But, I mean, come on, man. They were at Wembley. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they sold 82,000 seats because it's been heavily speculated that they did not sell 82,000 seats. That, in fact, it was like 72 to 74,000 seats from what I was told. But you were at Wembley Stadium. The only build you got for that entire event was mainly MJF and Adam Cole. All out. Even though it was a week later, which I think is a horrible idea, there's no build. Nothing. And Tony Khan still wants to continue that same pay-per-view format for the foreseeable future where you have All In and All Out literally a week apart from each other. Where the hell's the build at, man? Where's the build for those pay-per-views? Nothing. It's a joke. I know some people are like, oh, you're an AEW fan. Yeah, I'm a fan of wrestling, man. I'm a fan of professional wrestling. And if it's shit, I'm going to tell y'all it's shit. And Collision was shit. Absolutely. It's shit, man. I'm like... You have people on this roster that you're not even utilizing. People that have been there since day one. Andrade, Malachi Black, the whole House of Black crew, man. You're not even using them, really. You haven't seen shit from House of Black since they lost those trios championships to Bowens, Caster, and Billy Gunn. Haven't seen nothing. Nothing. And why are we not putting Andrade in a storyline? Miro just got into a storyline, and look how long Collision's been in existence. And that whole storyline is done. It's over, from what I understand, between him and Powerhouse Hobbs. What the hell are we doing here, man? What are we doing? And I'm getting tired of seeing this Ring of Honor stuff on Dynamite and Collision, man. It's bullshit. It is. Keep that shit over at Ring of Honor. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And I have all the respect for Ring of Honor. I do. A lot of great talents come in Ring of Honor. But Ring of Honor, not for nothing, looks like a glorified AEW Dark Elevation. I'm sorry, man, it does. It's talent that they have on that roster that they're not going to put on TNT or TBS. That's exactly what it looks like for me. Or people that are on the indies that get an opportunity once in the blue moon to be on Ring of Honor. That's what it sounds like to me. Keep that Ring of Honor stuff over there, man. Seriously. Workhorsemen, with all due respect to JD Drake and Peter Avalon and those guys, to me they haven't done a damn thing to deserve a title shot. Nothing. Like, come on, man. And FTR is the best tag team right now, in my honest opinion. And you're going to give them the Workhorsemen? Come on, bro. Come on. Y'all can do better than that. That is lackadaisical booking right there. And why are they doing open challenges? Put them in a damn storyline and build up this tag team division again, man. This tag team division for AEW has been in the toilet. Seriously. Get the Bucks back in the tag team division. I know they're going after the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team belts against the Mogul Embassy. It's going to be Paige teaming up with the Bucks, going up against Mogul Embassy for those belts. Put the Bucks back in the tag team division. I mentioned this last week, that the Young Bucks haven't really done anything. When I was talking about Adam Page and being in the storyline with Swerve, they haven't done anything really. They've been so tied up with Don Callis and what Kenny Omega's doing with Don Callis and Takeshita. Kota Ibushi has another match against Takeshita. Kenny Omega needs to focus on his single run as well as Page, and the Young Bucks need to get back in the tag team division because right now the tag team division is lacking. It is. I'm sorry. And it's a great tag team division, man. You got the Lucha Bros with Penta and Phoenix. You got the Young Bucks with Matt and Nick Jackson. You got John Silver and Alex Reynolds from Dark Order. You got Butcher and the Blade. You got the Hardy Boys. I mean, you got a solid tag team division. Why not utilize it? The Best Friends, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. You have tag teams. Why not use them? They need to get back to that, man, because tag team wrestling, to me, was almost everything for AEW at the time. When they first got started, oh my God, yeah. They need to get back to the fundamentals. That, to me, I can't stress that enough. Get back to the fundamentals. What got y'all to the dance? That's what I would do. Because right now, everybody's like, oh, well, CM Punk's gone. It's not going to be the same show. It may be or may not be. Who knows? Who knows if we'll ever see Jack Perry again? We don't know. All we know about Jack Perry is that he's currently suspended indefinitely. And with no signs are leading if he was going to come back or not. We have no idea. And it's a damn shame. Jack Perry took, that punishment did not fit the crime for Jack Perry. In my honest opinion, it didn't, man. The way they did Jack Perry was low. That was a low blow, man. Seriously. But all in all, I'm not going to sit here and say Collision was a bad show. It was a decent show at best, but they need to ramp up on these shows for Collision, man, because the past 2 weeks, it's felt like a damn Rampage, man. They got to change it up. You got people on Collision consistently. I want to see storylines with these guys that have been there since day one. Guys like Malachi Black and the House of Black, Andrade, Miro. Get them in storylines, man. And give them pay-per-view matches. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying Collision's a bad idea, or it's all in all been a horrible show, but the past 2 weeks, it's felt like a damn Rampage, in my honest opinion. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Collision. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.